Hi, welcome to this episode. I guess so far you are enjoying this series, and if that is the case, kindly consider liking these videos and probably subscribing to our channel and to support us. So in this episode, we are going to just summarize what we've seen so far and then try to set up our workstation, what is required, because at this stage, what is needed now is to transform these wireframes or mockups into actual web pages. So in the previous series, I actually took you through the process of transforming these wireframes and prototypes into web pages. So but in this series, to go fast, I will jump some of these stages, so I will code these pages straightforward, and I don't want to prepare the CSS ahead, because I want you to see the process, to see how I write the CSS, because I also expect you to learn some CSS through this series. So the first thing we need to do is we have to have our PHP installed, our PHP setup. So in this series, we are not going through that as well. So you just need to get your installation. So these are the tools you could use. You can use LAMP, WAMP, MAMP, XAMPP, Laragon, and I am using Laragon. And here you can see I'm in my web root, Laragon WW, and then I'm in the folder tutorials. So here I've created a folder for our project, PHP Broadcasting Network. So if I click on it, you can see the documentation on the tutorial that I use. So this is where we are going to write our files. This is where we are going to create our files and continue the work. So aside that too, you need to get your text editor ready. So in my case, I am using Sublime Text. You can use any text editor that is convenient for you. So what I'm going to do now is to just drag this folder to my Sublime Text so that it can be attached to the folders. So at this point, I can right click on the folder here and then create a new file. Or if you want, you could go to your folder and then do a right click and create new, or you go to new and you choose to create a text file, and then you have to change the extension. And prior to that, it means your file extensions must be displayed. I think I've referred to such technique in previous videos on how to get that done. Or you could use the new button right here, which is the same as the contextual menu that appears when you do right click. So, and you can see the same text document here. But as programmers, you could also think of using a command line to do that. So you open your command line, whatever command line to use, you could just cd to the location where your project is located. In my case, it is located in my C folder, cd Laragon, cd ww, then cd tutorials, then cd PHP. I think no. So inside tutorials, let me ls to see what I have there. So I have p, actually b, so I do cd pbn, and then I'm inside, and you can see the existing file there. So let me clear it by pressing Ctrl L. So once that done, you could now touch a file like, let's say, index.php. So this brings us to the next topic on this episode. In this episode, we are now going to create files.php. So we are creating .php files. We won't do .html files then change them into .php, because we know this is a PHP project. So we need the HTML and the CSS for the template. But we also know that it is not a problem to have a .php file which contains HTML. So it's now the time to already create PHP files and then work on your HTML, or whenever any eventual PHP comes in, then there's no problem. There's no need to change the extension. So we'll go ahead and create our index file, and we'll code it in the next episode. So let me save the file into index.php. So once that's done, it is a basic HTML file as well, so I can just go ahead and start writing my HTML content inside, and I will call this one home page, and then dash PHP broadcasting network. So by doing that, we've created our first file in our project, which is the home page. And if you remember, in our prototypes, we've already planned the home page, which is here. So all I've just did now is to just create a file that will contain this whole page or this whole content. So the next thing before we close this episode is to now be able to preview our work. So if you are using Laragon, it is definitely going to allow you to have access to the project if you put it in the project root. So remember, so that's if you put it the project right here, then you are going to have it. You are going to have what we call a virtual host. So in that case, you can just type your folder name the way you created the folder, and then you can add .test test, and then it will run it. But in my case, I have the project running under a project called tutorial, which is at the root, tutorial right .test. So if I do that, I think it's tutorials. Yes, there's S. So tutorials. So when I do that, it will bring me my subfolders, and I can click on any of the subfolders and it will still open. If I mouse over on the page title, I can see the page title. That shows that the page is being run, so it runs successfully. So in case you don't want to do this, you could also run the PHP built-in server. So if when I'm on the folder, so I'm located right in the folder here on my command line, I could run PHP -S localhost : and any port I like, let's say 9090, and then just press enter. So this will tell me that yes, my application is now running on this address. So I could just copy it and paste, then I get the same thing. So to prove that this is working right, let's just say welcome to PHP broadcasting network. So by refreshing, we should have the message, and this is the same as what we had previously. If you go back to this URL, if I refresh, we should get the same thing. So it's up to you to choose what method you use to preview. What is important here is to follow up on how the application is actually built. I don't want us to spend much time on setting the setups or the techniques we use to preview our projects. So if you like this episode, you can really give it a like as well. So that's it. If you like this episode, like it and share it with your friends, and see you in the next one where we're going to code our index page.